Welcome to the Starting From Zero podcast. In this episode, I talk with filmmaker, entrepreneur, and YouTuber Audrey Ember. Audrey started her YouTube channel during her sophomore year of high school just because she loved to make videos and wanted a place to upload them. Since that time, she has been continuing to document her development as a creative and has built up her channel to just over 26,000 subscribers. Audrey and I talk about her journey of building an audience, her decision to drop out of college twice, and why she is so passionate about building community for female creators. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Starting From Zero podcast.
Hello?
Hello.
It's working? Oh, there we go.
Yeah, perfect.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for taking the time to do this. This is really cool.
Of course. No problem. I watched your episode with Darren.
Oh, nice. Yeah, are you a fan of Darren's?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I watched his I'll watch some of his stuff. I really like his series with the Uber drivers, which is pretty funny.
Yeah, definitely. I used to watch an account called Ryan is Driving,
Yeah.
which is kind of like the same concept, and Darren's videos got recommended to me that way. So
That's awesome.
yeah. So this is really cool. I've been following your content for a while now, so it's really cool to get to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm excited. Why did you decide to start a podcast?
So I'm not sure, maybe it's just one outlet of creativity, and I'm not really sure where this will go, but I was in quarantine with my family and really just looking for different things to keep myself busy. So
Yeah.
Trying to think of different ideas and actually start executing on some ideas instead of just having them stay as ideas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Relatable.
Yes. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do in life, and I've been tasting different things after I graduated college, going on 3 years ago now. So
Nice.
this has just kind of seemed like something else that I wanted to try out. And
Why not? Podcasting
Exactly.
is great. It's a great way to meet new people too.
Mm-hmm. Are you podcasting yourself, or are you just making YouTube videos?
I mean, I've attempted, I used to have one, but it was just me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of abandoned that. But now I have one with two of my friends, and we go live every Thursday, and we kind of just talk about random stuff for an hour, and that's it.
Right. Isn't it crazy? You could just make a career out of having a conversation.
I know.
With your friends.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So we're we want an excuse, during quarantine, same thing. We're we want an excuse to actually make sure we all talk once a week.
Yeah.
So it works because we're kind of being productive.
Exactly.
At the same time, right?
Block out some time to catch up, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So for anybody who doesn't know who you are or what you do, what do you do in the world?
That's a great question. No. I make YouTube videos, I guess. I'm a filmmaker. I'm trying to start making short films and stuff. So, and I also do freelance videography, and I write for people and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and I guess the basis of this podcast and project is trying to find out why creators took that first step and actually started to create, or did actually took the time and made their YouTube channel. And so so why did you what was that process like for you when you first started?
Well, I got started when I was a sophomore in high school, so it's been a little while. And I just started purely for fun. I had been watching YouTubers forever, and I didn't have the courage, honestly, to start a channel, because especially in high school, you're I don't want everyone to find this.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know, it's still not cool, apparently. I've talked to younger friends who are still in high school. It's still not a cool thing, but it's definitely was not cool at all when I was in high school. So But I just started because I really loved to do it, and I didn't care. I was just making random stuff with my friends, like just vlogs and challenges because I was like the thing
The
at
YouTube-y
the
kind of stuff.
time. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, like I decided that I wanted to go to film school. Not because I was necessarily interested in like traditional filmmaking. I literally just wanted I went to my counselor and was like, I like making videos. And she was like, film school.
Really?
So I was like, okay. But I had zero interest in like traditional film. So when I got to film school and the teachers literally were not letting me do ideas that I wanted to do that
Mm-hmm.
weren't like narrative film,
Right.
I started to get really frustrated. And I was learning more from people like Peter McKinnon about
Yeah.
making stuff than I was in class. So it kind of has evolved over time from just like a hobby to I really love this. And now like I left film school after that, and I've kind of been trying a bunch of different stuff since then, and now shortening the story a lot. And now I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of just really focusing on YouTube and um filmmaking and all that sort of stuff. Freelance work to pay the bills and
Right.
yeah.
And you're not in school anymore, right? You dropped out,
No.
right? Okay. Can you talk about maybe that decision to
Yeah.
do that? What was that like for you?
Well, I technically dropped out 2 times.
Okay.
Because the first time was film school, and I was just getting it's so expensive to go to school, and like
Mm-hmm.
I was just sitting in class being like couldn't wait to go back to my dorm to watch videos and like actually
Right.
make stuff on my own. And there was one class that I really was kind of like the first red flag. It was my first ever filmmaking class. I never took film in high school. We didn't have that. And I was so excited, and I walk in and it's a TA teaching, and he goes, okay, so today we're going to learn how to put up a tripod. And I was just
Mm.
sitting there like, I'm what that was kind of like the first red flag.
Right.
And eventually I decided to leave because I don't know, I wanted to try different stuff. At the time I knew like I loved creating, but I didn't know what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
And I had what, like 500 subscribers. Like I wasn't planning really on going full with YouTube. I was just like I needed to
Right.
get out and actually test the different options and make sure that going to school was something that would actually be worth the investment for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I left and I did an internship at a advertising agency as an editor for a couple months, and that experience taught me that I would prefer not to be a link in a chain. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was basically just a tool.
Right.
And it was a great experience, but I kind of X'd that out on my list. And then I went back to school for business because I thought, well, if I'm going to learn the creative stuff on my own, I might as well learn business skills at
Mm-hmm.
school. And I tried going in with, you know, good expectations and with an open mind, but literally as soon as I got there, it started the red flags again.
Yeah.
Because during that time, like in between, I had been networking a lot, meeting people in the creator community, growing my own channel, and it was just starting to get frustrating when you're in class and you want to work on all these things, but you have a history essay that
Mm-hmm.
has to take priority, or you're learning, or you're teaching your marketing teacher about Instagram because
Right.
they don't know what it is, and the class is teaching the teacher. It was just, yeah. So I left business school after a semester, and that was a really difficult decision because it was kind of like it felt pretty final because,
Mm-hmm.
this is the second time this happens.
Right.
Um, my parents weren't very thrilled, obviously, and
Yeah.
that was a whole ordeal. But now it's been a year almost since I left school for the second time, and I've just learned so much about like what I actually want to do,
Mm-hmm.
because through this time I went to a PA course like locally in Atlanta, and I learned more about the film industry, and I learned a lot more about my like creative interests, and developed my own channel again some more, and did freelancing. Like I shot a wedding for the first time. Like I did a
Oh,
bunch.
nice.
I just tried a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
to kind of figure out what I actually want to do. And now I'm at the point where I've actually sort of figured that out, which I'm very happy about because it's taken
Yeah.
so long.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. And, it's also been a learning experience with my parents because I feel like our relationship has deepened a lot because, I mean, that's like a whole other story, but
Yeah.
it's been hard, but I'm really happy that I took that risk because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have figured out like what I actually like and don't like through real life trial and error.
How do you try and explain what you want to do to your parents as a career? From
Well,
Yeah.
like when I left business school at that point, I was just I really just wanted to try a bunch of different stuff. And so I basically came up with like a deal with my parents. Like I
Mm.
wrote a letter to them, like literally like essay
Yeah.
email, because I tried explaining it in person, but they didn't really believe me.
Right.
Like I told them like I'm leaving school and they were like, okay, we'll talk about this later. And then that just never happened. So I literally wrote them a letter and I was like, give me a year to just try like a bunch of different stuff and we'll see where this goes, right?
Mhm.
I didn't want to set anything in stone. I just kind of left it open and said, like, give me a year, we'll see where this goes from here. And they agreed to that. And it's been hard, but also probably the best decision I could have made.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, when I try to think of how I try to describe to, my mom what I want to do,
Yeah.
and I don't really like have a full idea of what that truly is. So to try to explain it to somebody else
Yeah.
is kind of hard. So,
I mean, I think for me at least, it's been kind of a learning experience for both
mhm,
of us, like for me
right.
and my parents, because I didn't know either, and I
Yeah.
still don't completely. But it's kind of been like a process of learning more myself about what I want to do, so that I can explain to them
Hmm.
and like also prove to them, like where I'm going, what I want to do, that sort of thing. And it's still very open ended because it's not like you can put a title
Right.
like creator, like what
Exactly.
does that mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, it's kind of more of an entrepreneurial path, even
Hmm.
though you could be classified filmmaker, creator, whatever. It's all kind of mixes together at some point, and
Exactly. Yeah.
it's hard to explain to people. um but I think, at least for me, the thing that helped was like having a vision from the
Hmm.
even though I didn't know exactly what that meant like at the beginning. You have to have a sort of crazy self-confidence to go after
Yeah.
like
I
a
think any
creative
any
thing. Yeah.
creative thing that you want to do professionally, you have to be like, uh,
Yeah.
I was just watching like Lil Dicky's TV show, and watching his story, like just the crazy self confidence that you have to have and belief in yourself.
I
Uh,
haven't watched that.
yeah, Dave, it's really good.
Okay.
Um, yeah, side note, check out Dave. Um,
I'll have to check that out.
yeah. So I guess for your college experience, like you decided to leave, and but were there any like big takeaways or something that you learned from that time period in your life?
Um, Definitely a lot. um, I think the biggest thing I learned from college was from the people I met in
Hmm.
school. Like at my at film school the first time, I made some really cool friends who were all like, creatives at some point who are either starting video production companies or were just making videos or were making short films and stuff. And it was the first time I'd ever been around other creative people. Like
Hmm.
in high school, like my friends would be in my videos, but that was like kind of it.
Yeah, because they were your
I didn't,
friends, right? Yeah.
yeah, I didn't really know anyone who was interested in like film or like making videos seriously.
Hmm.
So that was huge when I went to college because it was like, oh my god, we can actually vlog in packs, and
Right.
then they feel like the weird ones if there's 10 of us with cameras. um so yeah, I learned a lot from my friends just about like believing in creativity and like
Hmm.
actually knowing that there are possibilities out there to make it a career.
Yeah.
um yeah, that was probably honestly my biggest takeaway from school. And then in terms of college itself, I have a whole other opinion on that one.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, let's hear. What are your
well,
thoughts on it now?
um, I mean, my brother is about to go to school and he's going for international relations. So he's
Okay.
not like the creative type necessarily. So I mean, obviously, if you want to be a doctor, you should go to school. Like, I'm not
Hmm.
arguing on that one. But when it comes to creative careers, I would say it's not necessary. Like, I went to a production, like, academy course here in Atlanta, and I was talking to this lady who's a producer, and she was like, yeah, no one cares if you have a degree. Like, if you're applying to be a PA, no one cares.
Hmm.
Like, you don't even have to put it on your resume. Like, literally, people do not care about your, it's all about experience and connections when it comes to the traditional film industry. And I found that for the creative side, like online YouTube stuff, it's kind of the same. Like, you don't need a degree to build a YouTube channel, you
Right.
know. um it's kind of a whole other set of skills and a little bit of luck mixed in, a
Hmm.
lot of networking involved. But so when it comes to college, I think educating yourself is important. um so I think if you can go to school, it's great to like take that box. But if it's super expensive and you're going into crazy debt and you're a creative and you don't really need it,
Hmm.
then it's just not, it's not worth the investment, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's just crazy times as well, just because that's kind of the message that we've been told. Like, I've been told my whole life. It kind of felt expected that you go to
Yep.
college afterward. So,
Yep.
um, and
Exactly.
yeah, for me, college was like, I feel the same way. Just like trying different things. Like the people that I met really shaped my experience, and I feel like I
Yep.
didn't even taste enough things. Like I didn't take complete advantage of the opportunity that I had in
Yep.
front of me. Um, but it led me to where I am today. So,
Yeah.
um,
Like if I were to go back to school again, at
mhm.
least this time I would have more of a goal with going to school. I think it's crazy that when you're 17 you have to already know like what you want
Yeah,
to do with your life. Like that's
nobody has any.
insane. No one
Yeah,
actually knows.
no.
And for some people college is that place where they figure it out. But
Hmm.
for others, like for me, it wasn't. Like I had to
Yeah.
actually leave to figure that out. So if I were to go back now, at least I'd have more of like a goal with going to school.
Hmm.
Because now I'm actually interested in film. Ironically, after I
Really,
left
I
film
love
school, I
that.
became interested in film.
Hmm.
Um, and so I would actually probably enjoy learning more about like the history and stuff now.
Right.
Whereas before, I was like, I just want to make videos, and I wasn't
Yeah.
gonna take it seriously.
Right.
Um,
But you had to go through that process to find out that
exactly,
that's what you
right?
actually want to do, right?
Yeah. So if I had stayed at film school, I would probably still like not. I'd
Hmm.
probably like just be drudging through it, not actually taking advantage of it.
Right.
So yeah, if I were to go back now, I think I'd actually, since I have a goal with like what I want to do with my career, I would
Hmm.
know what opportunities to take advantage of with school.
Sure. Those networking opportunities that
Exactly.
will lead you to something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so for your YouTube channel and like building an audience throughout, those times of being in school, not being in school, can you kind of maybe talk about a little bit of your your journey of growing your channel?
Yeah. Um, I think when I started college, I had like 200 subscribers or something,
Hmm.
and that was in 2018.
Okay.
Like, yeah, 2018 like was halfway through my freshman year, and I had 200 subscribers. I remember because yeah, I made a video at the end of 2017 where I stood on the side of the road with a sign saying, "Please subscribe to my YouTube channel." And I
Did it work?
didn't hit 200, no.
No.
I just got laughed at by probably everyone on my street, but it was fun, so I don't care. But no, I had 200 subscribers halfway through freshman year, and that's when I kind of started taking it more seriously.
Hmm.
um I was starting to listen to these YouTube gurus who are talking about like
Yeah.
focusing your niche down and stuff, because that time was just random, like um and I made the commitment to post 2 times a week. which was hard to do because, you're busy, you're a student,
Sure.
but it was great. Like, I would literally ditch anything to make sure I hit those deadlines. I'd get up at like 4 a.m. and go film like on a parking garage just to get something. And things started happening as soon as I became more consistent. Like, it's not that the videos were incredible. It literally, I didn't even know like what frame rates were back then, but I was kind of just like exploring that and documenting whatever I was learning about. And I think my first video to go kind of not viral, but got some views was I tried to recreate Peter McKinnon's B-roll, because at the time I was obsessed with his videos.
I'm pretty sure that's the video how I found you as well. Yeah.
Oh no. That video, looking back, I was so bad, but I didn't know what I was doing. I was literally just trying stuff out, and I think that got me like up to like maybe 2,000 or something. So it was like insane, because at the time I was like, oh my god, like this has never happened.
Yeah.
And then things just kept snowballing. Like, I kept making videos. Eventually I made this video with my friend Cody Warner, and we made like a collab that was featured on Peter's channel, and he reacted to like our B-roll. And then I reacted to him reacting to our B-roll, which did really good and brought more people. And yeah, it kind of just started to evolve from there. It's very slow, like spikes every once in a while. And yeah, like I made this series called Playing with Fire, where, kind of inspired by that first episode I did where I tried to recreate Peter's B-roll. Like, I took that concept of being inspired by something another person has done and trying to recreate it. And a lot of those videos for me have done well. Not all of them, but some of them have.
Yeah, I liked your Nathaniel Drew's video.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, so I still make them now because I like to make them, but I don't get those ideas all the time. But I'd say those were the videos that have contributed to my growth. And yeah, now I'm trying to figure out like what I want to do in between those big videos, because I don't get the ideas all the time. They kind of like rely on what's popular and what I'm interested in. There kind of has to be like a mix for it to work. So yeah, now I'm just working on getting back to being consistent, because it's been a while since, it's been like 2 years since 2018 now. Like, I need to get back to where I was with the consistency then.
Yeah. And who were those the YouTube gurus that you were watching in the beginning?
I don't even know. I remember I watched this one video by Sean Cannell. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
And it was like
Think Media, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the 3 buckets of content. And so that's how I got started, because I just kind of took that concept and like started trying to narrow it down. And I feel like since then I've still been just trying to narrow it down.
Right. What are the 3 buckets of content
now? I don't know. Probably filmmaking, creative process, and then maybe like just vlogs, because that's kind of general, but
like personal daily life kind of stuff.
Yeah, but it's kind of like more mixed in. That's more like a style thing than an actual category, I guess. Yeah, I guess those are my 3 buckets right now. But like before, it was like travel, cinematography, even though I didn't know what that meant, and then like maybe like creative process or something, creative journey. So it's definitely like getting narrowed, because if you want to actually grow a channel, it needs to be pretty. The specific messaging has to be clear. Yeah.
So have you been thinking about, I guess, what you want your messaging to be going forward?
Ooh. I mean, for my entire channel so far, it's been primarily about documenting my journey, and I don't want that to go away. But I think like when I make videos now, I want to make them more with the intention of helping the viewer like learn through my process. I guess just providing more value is like what I'm trying to focus on more now, because in the past it's just purely documentation. But when it comes to like actually making good videos that are, not saying they're not good, but like if you want to be more entertaining and like play the YouTube game, you need to provide more value, like explicitly in your stuff. So that's what I'm trying to keep in mind more going forward. It's like keeping the personal like documentation side, but then making sure that like they leave with actual value that's not just inspiration, you know?
Right. And yeah, like I'm kind of hopeful of the same for this project, because I think one thing that I want to be able to share is like you know, sharing other creators' journeys and hearing their like I think like the process of building an audience is just as interesting as like
Yeah.
the content that people are putting out, because a lot of people
Yeah.
don't see the backstory. And if there are people who see like someone that they look up to talking about their story, then maybe it'll inspire them. No, excuse me.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Because it's so easy to look at someone and be like, wow, they'll just be like, oh yeah, I did this, this, and this, and now I'm here. And you're like,
Right.
well, you just skipped so many steps in between all of that. Yeah.
Exactly. Like you follow on someone's channel and they have 100,000 subscribers, but like how did they
Yeah,
get
like
there?
they'll be like, well, they'll be like exactly what I just said, like, oh, I made this video, this one, and then you get like more views, and that's how you get more subs. But there's so much like in between to figuring out all those things.
Yeah. How's been your process of figuring out like the business side of YouTube and networking?
I mean, I'm really lucky that, well, I think networking is like, and just I don't like the word networking because it's like, it sounds too businessy. Like just finding friends like in the creator community is so important. And you can do that
people.
online. Yeah. So initially I just went, like a lot of this stuff happened online. Like, I'm really grateful that I met some amazing friends like Roberto Blake and my friend Romina, and they've been really helpful in learning more about the creator industry, like especially the business side of things, because I mean, you know, it's can be pretty intimidating when you're just getting started. You're like, I don't know how any of this works.
Right.
So yeah, like I'm grateful now that if I have any questions about a brand deal or like anything, I can literally just text. I have a couple people I can just text, and I know like they can help me out on the business side. Just give me advice. Like if it's video production, I got some of my college friends I can text, or if it's YouTube, I can text like some of my creator friends, and they'll like be able to help me out. So I think that's been literally crucial, because otherwise I would have had to probably make a lot more mistakes in order to figure it out.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. And so I guess for anybody who's interested in starting a channel or you know, looking to get into the creative field, what kind of advice would you give those people?
I think this is gonna sound, I hate this answer because it sounds so cheesy. But literally you have to just make stuff that you like to make, because I know like I when I heard that advice, it's like, that's so obvious and like so simple, but it's literally, I don't know how else to phrase it. Like you need to make stuff that you want to make, because you know, I think the biggest way and most important way to succeed as a creator is you need to find something that is yours and that will be able to like push your career in a way that will be a long lasting deal. And if you're copying other people, that's not going to happen. Like you're just going to be the copy of blank or someone similar to blank. But if you can find something that's like specific to you, that you're really passionate about, that hasn't really been done before, or at least that you can put like a new spin on, then that's like the key. And it's really hard to find that. Like I've been trying to find that for a while now. Like, and I don't think anyone truly ever really like finds it perfectly, because it's always evolving and stuff. But I don't know, that's kind of like my goal, is to figure out something that is mine, you know, that people will want to replicate one day. Like that's literally the goal. Like you want to be like like a Peter or a Casey where people are copying you, and you're kind of like a, there's something specific about their type of content that it's like, oh, that's like a Peter thing, or that's a Casey thing, or that's a, I don't know. And I think that's what leads to long-lasting careers. So that's my goal. And I think taking time to figure that out is way more beneficial than just trying to blow up for the sake of blowing up, because that's short term, in my opinion. And you're not going to have as like good of a connected audience or any of that stuff if you just try and rush it for the sake of getting views.
Yeah. I think a lot of people might put those, like a Peter or a Casey on like a pedestal a little bit, and I think for me it was that realization that these are just people.
Yeah, they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah, they were trying to figure it out for
they
themselves.
They had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah,
like they just kind of fell into this thing, and that's, I mean, it's like I even fell into that trap like last year where I was trying to copy or do like this specific thing that other people were doing that was working, and it just was not working for me because I don't know, I just wasn't fully dedicated, because it wasn't what I was truly like passionate about. And those people, they didn't know what they were doing either. They kind of just fell into it. And I think following like what you're actually passionate about and working hard and like being consistent, that's the formula to figuring that out.
Definitely. And yeah, I think for any creative person, just keep picking up the camera or whatever your creative thing is, because I find myself like having my camera like stare at me and it's just sitting on the shelf. And like just trying to find a way to keep creating, because working through that process involves executing and like doing.
Like literally I've been kind of I didn't post for 2 weeks or something, which is absolutely terrible. I don't know the last time I haven't done that, and I was just feeling kind of down about creating, and like it's not that I was uninspired. I had ideas. I just was worried. I think it was just perfectionism getting in the way. And as soon as I forced myself to like make a video, and it wasn't perfect, it wasn't incredible, but I had fun making it, and I think it was like decent. And I posted it, and literally like that night, I was just coming up with so many new ideas. And I woke up the next morning, I was like excited to start on the next one. So literally just getting started, it's kind of like a snowball. Like once you start,
get back in the groove.
Yeah, once you get back in the groove and you start making stuff, it will become easier and easier to like be more productive and like keep going. So that's like a thing. If you're feeling uninspired or whatever, literally just force yourself to make something and then go from there.
So can you talk about a little bit of Create Her, and what's going on with that?
Okay, I could talk about this forever, so. But no, I started Create Her like 2 years ago, 3, I don't know anymore. And the original goal, I came up with the idea because I realized that I didn't have any women creator role models or people that I watched really like in the filmmaking creative space online. And after that I was like, why is that? So I made a video about it, about like why we need more female creators. And I asked a bunch of other girls like in the space to help me with it. And, like it was kind of like a big collab video. And after that, someone in the comments was like, you should make a community for this, because at the time Cody had kind of been making No Small Creator, and that was growing a lot. And so this person commented, was like, you should start like a Create Her group or community. I was like, that's a great idea.
Isn't it crazy how the comments can influence?
And so since then I've kind of just been trying to like figure out where I want to bring it, because my goal with the community is to just uplift women creators. It's to create, like eventually I want to have like in-person events to highlight women creators and like provide a space so that you can meet them, because I think that's like the most important thing is finding friends.
Yeah.
Like from my personal experience. So if I can provide an online community and then also bring it to the real world,
Yeah.
like that's kind of my goal right now. But
Have you had any in-person events yet?
I was supposed to this year, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I was supposed to have one in April, but obviously that did
Some
not
things had
happen.
a different plan.
Yeah. So I actually had an online like Zoom
Oh, cool.
one like a couple months ago now, which was really fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got some of my friends to help me like be moderators basically, and then yeah, there's like 20 of us or something, and it was a little chaotic, but it was
Mm-hmm.
great. Like it was pretty fun.
That's very
And I want to
cool.
host more of those for now because but um like in the future I really want to I want to talk more about, women in film and women in the creator industry just on my own and with my own channel, like bring more awareness towards it. But the purpose of Create Her specifically is it's supposed to be a resource. So my goal would be to get more people to use the hashtag so that it can actually start being used as like a place to find women creators and for girls to like meet other girls who are interested in this stuff. So
Yeah.
it's a work in progress for sure. It's been kind of confusing to figure out like where I want to take it and how to like grow it and what I need to do that. And but so that's why I feel like it's kind of taken a while to like get going, but I have big goals with it for the future. So I'm taking my time to make sure I do it properly.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. And you're right. Like the biggest thing, like I don't have any friends that I know in my daily life who are like into
Yeah.
like YouTube or podcasting or whatever.
Yeah.
So
That's like number one.
seriously, yeah. So to like be around, like I understand why people move to New York or LA to be around the same kind of
Yeah.
like-minded people who are in that field.
Yeah.
So I think
That's like
yeah.
that's literally the most important thing I think you can do. Like especially if you're just getting started. You don't need to do something drastic like moving, but like right off the bat, but
Yeah.
literally just go online, go on Twitter and like find friends. Like that's literally I think the most important thing. And when it comes to like Create Her specifically, some people ask like why, like what are you like why is it important to do this and to create this community? And I think it's because there's so many like young girls who just don't have role models to look up to, or they don't have friends that they know who are also girls who are in these things. And I wonder like if I had that when I was younger, if I would have gotten more interested in it sooner, or like grown a lot faster and learned a lot more about this medium if I had friends to like learn this stuff with, and not feel like it was just me on my own all the time.
Yeah.
And so that's the whole point of Create Her, is like connect women creators so that they can have friends and also be role models so we can uplift each other so that the next generation has more role models to look up to. And now I'm like learning more about the film industry and women in there, and that's just a whole other ordeal that's really complicated. But eventually maybe one day I'll dip my toes more into that world, but for now I'm staying specific to the creator industry.
Nice. Yeah, so for you, we were talking about like Casey and Peter and their process and creating a legacy for themselves.
Yeah.
So what kind of, I guess, what kind of legacy do you want to
Oh no.
leave as a
I have
creator?
no idea. I don't know. I just want to like make stuff I'm passionate about and eventually figure out a way to turn it into a sustainable career. Like I feel like if I can do that, at least maybe people who are watching could be like, oh, like she did it.
Yeah.
Like maybe I could do it. Because, I remember 2 years ago when I was just 2 years ago. Yeah, when I was just kind of getting started, really 2.5 years ago. And I was like, how it felt like such a like long tunnel with no light at the end when it comes to doing YouTube or having a creative career. Just like, how do I get from point A of me knowing nothing to like point B of actually turning this into a career? And it's very scary and uncertain, but I guess with my channel, I hope that I can prove like, oh, a normal person can do it, and she documented the whole process. Like you can literally go back and watch me not knowing what 24 versus 60 frames per second is.
Is that crazy?
Yeah, like that's something I wish people like Casey had done, right? Like what if you could watch Casey from when he literally just picked up a camera for the first time,
right? Just figure out his process.
Like that would be so cool to watch. So I guess that's one of my goals.
Yeah, I think with Create Her and what you're building, I think you'll do just that. I can.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Have you started a YouTube channel?
Yeah, so that's what I. So I have like a personal YouTube channel, just Harry Millison, and that's how I kind of got started. Because like you watch, when you watch something so much, because I was watching like Think Media and Casey, and you watch it so much that you're like, why aren't I trying this myself?
Yeah.
So I got to that point, and I started making some like home video kind of stuff, and
nice.
yeah. So like I would film a trip with my sisters, or yeah, just like stuff like that. And then when I had a bunch of different ideas, and then I decided, I was watching Gary Vee, and it was like pick one thing and go for it, and you can taste different stuff. So at the time, my job was to travel the U.S. to different. I worked for a sandwich company.
Cool.
Yeah. Have you heard of Jimmy John's before?
Yes.
Yeah. So I worked for Jimmy John's when I graduated.
Awesome.
Yeah. And they sent me to like a different franchise each week across the US. So I was in the airports every Monday and Friday.
Wow.
And I had a bunch of free time in hotels during the week. And I realized that I didn't want to be like living a corporate life. And I wanted to like start something and see where it would take me. And so I started a YouTube project where I was interviewing people in the airports.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so I would ask everybody one question each time that I filmed, and then edit all the different answers together to show how different or similar people's answers would be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just did that basically for about a year or so, with no real like traction or anything, because I was just creating to create, and that was like my first attempt at like a series of something.
Yeah, it's using what you got if you're always an air person.
Yeah, exactly. And so kind of like going through the ups and downs of it is like, does anybody care about what I'm doing? And then like I shouldn't care what other people think. I should be creating for myself. And
the never-ending loop.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I actually quit the corporate job and went to go teach English in Israel in August of last year.
Cool.
Yeah. And the plan was to teach English and do the airport kind of project and repurpose it. But I just got kind of lazy basically with it. And I came back home in February from Israel, and that's when I started doing this. Just like I'm back home, I don't have a job at the moment, and I need something to keep myself busy during quarantine. So that's where this came from.
That's awesome. See, that's cool how you're just trying like different stuff, and especially with the airport thing. Like one excuse I see a lot of the time is like, I don't know what to film.
Right.
It's like, well, you're stuck in airports all the time. You come up with an idea for a series at an airport. Like, that's the type of stuff Like, even if it's not perfect, just to kind of get started, you know?
Yeah, like I, had zero skills. Like I started with
Yeah.
a Nikon camera, then you get more invested and you want to invest in the gear. And I was traveling around with it in my backpack like every week. And it's
Yeah.
just extremely heavy. Like, why would I do that to myself? But um, yeah, just
Yeah.
like trying to just keep trying, and um, you get better the more you create. Um,
Yeah.
so
That's awesome.
that's my story. And I just started a new job last week. So I
Cool.
finally employed during a pandemic, and um,
Congrats.
thank you. Yeah. And the plan is to keep doing this kind of stuff and build up this channel. As I've, it seems like it aligns with my interests and potentially a career. And I don't
Yeah.
really know how to describe it to people yet, but
Yeah. I mean, you literally never know. Like,
yeah.
this industry is pretty random
Hmm.
sometimes. So you literally never know. You might as well just start making something, and then who knows?
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
I think you don't know until you try. And if you just keep putting
Yes.
yourself in those situations,
Yeah.
then you don't know who you'll meet or who will say yes to doing, an
Yeah.
interview. And um,
Exactly.
yeah. uh, yeah, basically that's the plan moving forward.
Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Are you on Twitter?
I am. Yeah.
Okay, because I feel like Twitter is the most I'm blanking right now on the word. It's like the best place to network and like
Yeah.
meet cool people. So some people aren't doing that. I'm like, you need to jump on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah.
um yeah, so I guess, how have you seen like the different platforms, uh like how do you use, I guess, different social media platforms for your career, or for to build your
Okay. Well,
project?
specifically when it comes to like meeting people, um, I'd say Twitter's most important. Because it's kind of like the easiest place to connect with people,
Hmm.
especially if they have a following. Like Twitter is probably where they're gonna have the least noise.
Right.
Um, so getting on there and not being annoying
Hmm.
is kind of like priority number one.
Yeah.
Like, don't be like fake and just trying to get something from people.
Hmm.
Like for example, with my "We Need More Female Creators" video, I literally was super passionate about that idea, and I needed to get other people's perspectives to make it a good video. So I reached out. I literally just tweeted at like a bunch of different people, and
Hmm.
were like, "Hey, do you want to be a part of this?" And a couple like answered and were like, "Yes," and some were didn't answer, and that's also
Right.
totally fine.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think approaching like these women with a video about women in the creative space, they were more inclined to actually want to do it because they cared about the topic, and
Hmm.
it was something that they were also passionate about. So that was kind of like a natural way to do it. And I didn't make the video like, oh, I'm going to make this video so I can reach out to these people. Like, it
Right.
was literally a side effect of the video idea. But as a result, like that's how I initially connected with a bunch of these people.
Hmm.
Um, and so, yeah, I think kind of if you want to like reach out to people, there has to be some sort of back and forth going, like, um, and just kind of being like a good, genuine person, not trying to take advantage
Right.
of anyone, because that will backfire
Quickly.
or just not
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
It's just not like, just don't do that. Sometimes you see people on Twitter and they're like always answering people or like always liking their stuff. It's like, calm down.
Yeah.
Just be like normal and actually respond when you want to respond.
Right.
Like, don't force anything. So yeah, and just like putting stuff out there is the most important thing you can do because you literally never know who's watching.
Hmm.
Like, I met Roberto because he saw my reacting to Peter McKinnon video,
Right.
which was completely random. um and so there's stuff like that that will happen, and you just literally gotta put your stuff out there. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of a funny story, but I met Peter in like 2018, I think. And that was like 6 months after I made the reacting video or something.
Okay.
And when I met him, he's like, "Oh, I saw weren't you just in like China or in," he said Japan, I think. And I was like, "I was in China, but that's close enough." He's
Uh-huh.
like, "I saw your Dan Mace like intro where he tried to recreate his intro video." And I
Oh,
was like,
wow.
"What?" Like it blew my mind because
Yeah.
at the time I was like, "Oh my god, he's actually seen one of my videos that
He's
was
watching my stuff.
unrelated from
Yeah.
him." Like it was just, it popped up for him, and that was like
Wow.
blew my mind. But it was an important lesson too, that like you literally never know who's watching, and if you make good stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like that's the probably most important thing you can do.
Yeah. Just
So
being genuine to yourself, and people will
yeah,
see that in your content. So
yeah.
that's a big deal.
And I mean, that can be hard to do. It's
Mm-hmm.
easier said than done, but I think just not overthinking it as much and kind of accepting like, oh, this is going to be a process that might take me a while to figure out, or it might not. I might get lucky and blow up for absolutely no reason.
Mm-hmm.
But just kind of like accepting like, oh, this might be like a year, like multiple years to figure out process. And actually, if you have the right intentions, that shouldn't really matter, you know?
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
creating for yourself, and if you
Yeah.
like what you like or what you're making, then and others watch as well, you have that in
Yeah.
common and can grow together.
Yeah. Like one thing I've seen with some younger people, like around my age specifically, is like
Mm-hmm.
some of them are like, I'm going all in. Like I want to make this into a career. And that's me. So
Mm-hmm.
I totally get it. But you gotta realize the amount of risk you're taking with that. Um, like I've been very careful about like, balancing the risk and keeping the backups open
Mm-hmm.
and, not being completely blocked off to any possibility. Um, because you literally never know. I think that it's not a coincidence, the ones who do succeed. Like I think there's no formula, but there's like a certain pattern that all these people who do succeed follow. So it's not as random as like wanting to be a NBA player, but
Mm-hmm.
it's there is definitely a learning curve and a little bit of luck involved.
Yeah.
Um, so I think having like just everyone's situation is different, like analyzing your amount of risk um is important. And sometimes I get really scared when I get these DMs that are like, I want to quit college because of you. And I'm like,
Oh
please don't.
God. Don't put that on me.
don't
Yeah.
don't put that on me. Yeah. So it's hard, but I think the like one thing that I've really been keeping in mind is like, if you're young and you don't have as much responsibility, like you don't have other people relying on you, if you're
Mm-hmm.
lucky enough to be in that situation, then the outcome and reward can be very high if you do succeed at doing this. So I think it's worth, like, even if you're not doing it full time, just to, put in some effort, like create a schedule, be like, I'm going to post once a week and like actually stick
Mm-hmm.
to it. Like, why not? Because you literally never know where it could go. So,
That's true.
yeah.
So I got one more question. I'll let you go.
Okay.
So for the future of Audrey Ember, and
Oh no.
what do you see the future of your channel looking like?
Ooh. Um, I mean, I want the future of my channel to just be me making videos about things that I'm passionate about, but also providing value at the same time, like through my process. So now I'm getting more into like the film side of things. So like eventually down the line, if I could, I always want YouTube to be like my core, like
Mm-hmm.
center. But I guess if I like one day try and go more into film and stuff too, like I always want to be documenting whatever it is that I'm doing, whether it's YouTube or film. I just want to be documenting that on my channel. And I just want to be a place where like someone could go back and see me not knowing what the difference is between 24 or 60
Mm-hmm.
frames
Right.
to like making a film, like that would
Yeah.
be pretty awesome, I think, and maybe inspire people to like actually just make stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's the goal. Just keep growing the channel.
That's great. I'm excited to see the evolution of Create Her and
Yes.
your process and watching your film one day.
Oh, thank you.
Well, yeah, so I really appreciate you giving your time to do this. And
no problem. This was fun.
Yeah.
Good luck with the future of your podcast.
Yes, thank you. We'll see what it turns into.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and thanks for doing this.
You too. Thank you.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Starting From Zero podcast. A special thank you to Audrey for taking the time to speak with me. I really appreciate you. And you can find her on social media at Audrey Ember. If you're a female creative and looking to meet other like-minded female creatives, you can check out Audrey's community Create Her on Instagram at createher_. If you want to see other content on social media from the Starting From Zero project, all you have to do is search Starting From Zero. Thank you again, and I'll see you next time.